Hello, my name is Dr. Linda Gorman, and I'm a neuroscientist. Neuroscience, really big word, but a neuroscientist is just a person who knows a lot about the brain. I'm here today to talk to you about how you can help to make your brain healthy. Make sure that it's feeling good. It's really easy to do, and anyone can do it. I love talking about brain health because it's spectacular, and spectacular means great. And when your brain is spectacular, you're a happy and healthy person. This is a brain fact story. We have to know and understand something about how the brain works if we're going to understand how to keep our brain healthy. So let's see how you can keep your brain healthy. Your brain does everything to help you live in this world, and we all know this world is always changing. Because the world is always changing, your brain has to be always changing too. This story is called The Brain Changes All the Time and will help you to understand that because your brain can change, you can handle any kind of change the world has to offer. There are two ways that we can think about how the world changes. The first is the world that you know changes, or your physical environment changes. The second is that new innovations change the world. Innovating means making a change to something or creating something new. Technology is the biggest change that you'll see in your lifetime. Technological changes let humans come up with new inventions to make our life easier and hopefully to make the world a better place. When we say the world changes, that includes our physical environment. But what is your physical environment? Well, your physical environment is the world that you see. It's your world. And your world may be different than my world because people live and see different things. Think about it. People grow up. As you grow up, you need and do different things. Your world, the people and the things that are around you, change. When you were younger, your world or physical environment consisted of your home, your neighborhood, and your family. When you were a baby, your world was really small. Babies pretty much eat, sleep, and make messy diapers. So they don't have to leave the house to survive. People take care of the baby and bring the baby everything that the baby needs. At this young age, with a relatively small world or physical environment, a baby's brain is growing and changing. Think about how small a baby's head is and how big your head is. A baby's behavior and how the baby interacts with the world is also changing. Think about it. What does a baby do to let people taking care of them know they need something, like food or a diaper change? What do? That's right, they cry. The babies learned that if they cry when they need something, that people bring them what they need. As you get older, your world may consist of home and school. Now, people don't bring you everything you need anymore, so you have to move around your environment. You need to learn how and where to get food, and you no longer need diapers, so you need to find out where bathrooms are, whether you're at home or at school. You no longer just cry, hopefully, to get the things that you need. You use words because you've learned how to talk. You're doing a lot more behaviors, and it's your brain that lets you do those behaviors because your brain is continuing to grow and to change. Throughout your entire life, the world around you or your physical environment is going to change. As you get older and the world around you changes, you may, I don't know, graduate from high school and then go to college and then get a job. Or you might get a job right away. You may have to move to a different part of the country or even a different part of the world. The people around you are also going to be changing. At first, it was your family and people in the neighborhood that are in your world. As you grow, there are also teachers and coaches and friends who become part of your world. When you become an adult, there are lots of other people that you add to your world too. To be able to change your behaviors to adapt to all the changes in your physical world, your brain needs to be able to change too. Changes in our world also involve changes in technology and other innovations that help to make our ability to survive in the world easier. These changes will also hopefully make the world a better place. The technology that we use in the world is always changing because people like to find new and better ways to do things. To be able to use technology, our brain has to be able to change and adapt. Students now use computers a lot in school, but before computers, students had to learn a different way. Instead of searching for information on the internet, we had to go to the library and find a book that had the information. Our brain had to learn how to use books for research. Now, however, we do have access to computers, so we can find the information using the internet. But our brain had to learn how to use the computer to be able to find information online too. Because there's always learning that we need to do, we need to find the best possible way to do it, given the technology that we have available at the moment. Our brain has to be able to learn and change so we can accomplish any task, including getting our schoolwork done. Because if for some reason all the computers in the world stop working, we'd still need to learn, and that usually means doing our homework. Before there were telephones, cell phones, and tablets, people used to communicate by talking to each other in person or writing letters by hand. That meant that you could only talk to people that were close to you, or it took a long time to communicate with people far away. Letters, they were carried at first by horses and later by trains. Now they're carried by cars and by planes. Now we can talk to people anywhere in the world in a matter of seconds. And we can do this without even using our voices. We can use our fingers to type messages that they receive instantly. We can also see people while we talk to them, even if they live somewhere else in the world. Technology is always changing, and we need to learn how to use the technology so we can live in this world. That means our brain and behaviors have to change. Think about it. When you were younger, you may have played with a Nintendo or an Xbox. Now there's virtual reality like Oculus. What do you think they'll be when you get older? We keep talking about the brain changing. Well, there's a big word that describes how the brain changes. That big word is called neuroplasticity. We know a lot about how the brain works, but there's also a lot that we don't know about how the brain works. We know that everything that you do changes your brain. It causes neuroplasticity. Everything that you see, hear, feel, taste, and smell changes your brain. Every emotion that you have, every movement that you do changes your brain. Because everything that you do changes your brain, causing neuroplasticity, this makes your brain different than any other person's brain. We know that everyone has a brain. We also know that our brains are different because we've all done different things to change our brains. We all have different brains that make us who we are, and we're all different people. This is why different people can see, hear, or do the same things, but they'll have different thoughts and feelings and opinions about those things. Your brain changes with everything that you do, so you can adapt to a changing world. When neuroplasticity happens and changes your brain, this can make you feel good. Just like you can learn and remember and then use information to think about new ideas and ways to do things. That makes you feel good. Or you can learn how to cook and bake cookies, and then you can have a bake sale and donate the money to save animals at the animal shelter. That'll make you feel good. The changes that happen in your brain when you're coming up with new ideas or helping others will help you to feel good. And you'll be helping others. So it's a win-win situation. You feel good and you're helping others so they feel good. Sometimes the changes that happen in your brain can be bad changes because they allow you to remember bad things, which can make you upset and nervous. Say you were riding your bike to school and a cat ran in front of you and you had to swerve to miss hitting the cat, only you crashed your bike into a tree. Luckily, you were wearing a helmet to protect your brain, but you still hurt yourself pretty badly. Plus, it made you afraid to ride your bike. A few weeks later, your friend asks you if you want to go bike riding. You haven't been on a bike since the accident, and you're feeling a little nervous about going. You tell your friend that you can't go because you have something else to do. But now you feel bad because you wanted to hang out with your friend and you told a lie because you were embarrassed to tell your friend you were afraid to ride your bike. This is an example of how your brain changing and letting you remember all the bad things about the bike accident can be bad. The best way to deal with all those feelings you're having about the accident is to talk to someone about it. This way, you can change your brain in a way that helps you calm down and helps you remember all the fun that you used to have when you were riding your bike. This way, you can change your brain in a good way because you'll be dealing with the situation. Now, we keep talking about brain changing, but what does that mean? Again, there's still so much that we don't know about how your brain is working, but we do know that everything that you do causes something in your brain to change. These changes can involve the number of cells in your brain, or the neurons, or how the neurons work, or even how much blood gets to different parts of your brain. All of these changes can occur when your behaviors change as the world changes. In some cases, a brain change, neuroplasticity, will mean that there's a change in the number of actual cells you have in your brain, either more cells or less cells. We know that the human brain is made up of billions of cells, mainly neurons and glial cells, and your brain is constantly making new cells and getting rid of cells, depending on the behavior that you're doing. Now, you may think that it's better to have more cells in your brain than less cells in your brain. So it's better to make more cells than to get rid of cells. But we know that when you have more cells working to produce a behavior, your brain is working harder and using more energy. When you're using less cells to do the same behavior, then you're using less energy and your brain is working more efficiently. That's why when you do some behaviors, like learning something new, so let's say that you're learning how to shoot a basketball into the hoop. When the brain starts out learning this behavior, it's using a lot of cells to do the behavior, and it's using a lot of energy. When you get really good at putting the basketball in the hoop, then you're actually using less cells and you're using less energy. Your brain is working more efficiently. This makes your brain more energy efficient, and it also makes the ball go into the hoop more because we know practice makes perfect and makes your brain more efficient using less cells to do the behavior. Now, in some cases, a brain change or neuroplasticity will mean that the way the cells in the brain work is changed. Now, we know that neurons are constantly talking to each other. They talk to other neurons, they talk to glial cells, they talk to muscle cells, they talk to organ cells. I like to say that neurons are very social creatures because they love to communicate with other cells. In fact, Neurons have to communicate with other cells or else they die. There's a lot of ways the communication between cells in your brain can change. Now, in some cases, a brain change or neuroplasticity will mean that the blood supply to different areas of the brain is changed. We know that the brain needs blood to survive and to help it do everything that you do. The brain gets oxygen, energy, and other chemical signals from the rest of the body through the blood. So that means that the brain and the heart do a lot of talking, and your brain directs the blood flow traffic. When the brain needs to work harder, like when you're thinking, the blood supply to the part of the brain that you're using to think is going to increase, so more blood is sent to that area. Changes in your brain, either opening or closing blood vessels or even making and eliminating blood vessels, take place all the time. Remember, when you're learning something, your brain is working harder. So when you're learning, we have to increase the blood flow. When you've learned something already, then your brain is working more efficiently and you need less blood flow. So when your brain changes, the blood flow to different parts of your brain is also changing. Your brain is designed to help you adapt and survive in a world that's always changing. We know that the brain controls behaviors, and we also know that when you do behaviors, you change your brain. This is known as neuroplasticity, which could be changing the number of cells in the brain, or changing how they work, or changing the blood flow to different areas of the brain, or any combination of these, or there could even be more changes that we don't even know about yet. Neuroplasticity, or the brain's ability to change, is what allows us to constantly change how we behave in the world. It not only allows us to survive, but it allows us to thrive. And your brain's ability to change helps it to do its job, and that helps to make our brain healthy. So thank you for letting me talk to you about how your brain changes all the time. I've enjoyed spending time with you today talking about your brain, and I hope that you've had some fun and learned something about your brain. Remember, your brain's job is to help you do all the behaviors that you need to do to survive in a world that's constantly changing. To do its job, the brain has to constantly change. When your brain is doing its job, both your body and your brain stay healthy. And we know that a healthy brain is spectacular. Thank you so much for all your help. Brain health is not just spectacular, it's fun too. And thank you to the people at Johns Hopkins University, especially Dr. Ron Daniels, for helping us to understand that our brain is changing all the time. It does that because our world is changing all the time. And when your brain changes, it allows you to change your behaviors so that you can live in a world that's always changing.